The year is 1666. Europe, still haunted by the specter of the Black Death, breeds an unease that clings to the very air. Yet, even in the shadow of such devastation, men seek fortune. Among them is Jean Tavernier, a man driven by the allure of rare and beautiful gems, setting his sights on the legendary diamond mines of Golconda. The journey is fraught with peril. Weeks turn into months as Tavernier traverses treacherous landscapes, battling scorching heat, disease-ridden swamps, and the constant threat of bandits. Each day is a testament to his unwavering resolve. He navigates the labyrinthine bazaars of Surat and other trading hubs, his keen eye searching for valuable leads, his silver tongue bargaining for information. The air is thick with the scent of spices and the murmur of countless voices, a symphony of commerce. Finally, his journey leads him to the legendary Golconda mines. These are not pristine excavations, but perilous labyrinths carved deep into the earth, where men gamble their lives for the promise of riches. The conditions are brutal. Disease festers in the damp, airless depths. Accidents are commonplace. Life is cheap, and diamonds are bought with blood and sweat. Tavernier spends weeks observing the mining operations, meticulously examining the rough stones brought to the surface. He is searching for something extraordinary, something that will make his arduous journey worthwhile. Then, one sweltering afternoon, a miner presents him with a stone unlike any he has ever seen. It is a diamond of extraordinary size and, most remarkably, a deep, captivating blue. The gem seems to possess an inner light, a mystical quality that sets it apart. Tavernier feels a thrill course through him, a mixture of awe and the undeniable allure of immense wealth. He spends hours studying the stone, marveling at its unique properties. The color is unlike anything he has ever encountered, a deep, almost mesmerizing shade of blue that seems to shift and change with the light. He knows that this diamond is more than just a valuable gem. It is a treasure that could change his life forever. He carefully secures it, knowing he must protect it at all costs. With the blue diamond safely hidden, Tavernier begins his long journey back to Europe, unaware of the destiny that awaits him and the gem he now possesses. Little did he know of the stories that will be built upon this find. This is the story of Le Bleu Maudit, the cursed blue. A story of kings and queens, of fortunes and failures, and of the enduring power of superstition in a world still grappling with the horrors of the past. Jean Tavernier, back from his arduous journey, prepared to present his treasures. Years of travel across continents had led him to this moment, the prospect of dazzling the Sun King himself. Louis XIV, the Sun King, held court. His gaze, sharp and discerning, rested upon Tavernier. The king's passion for jewels was well known, a reflection of his power and the splendor of France. With a flourish, Tavernier unveiled his collection. Rubies, emeralds, diamonds, each stone a testament to the earth's hidden beauty, but it was the blue diamond that caught the king's eye. The diamond possessed a color unlike any other, a deep, mesmerizing blue that seemed to hold the very depths of the sky. Louis XIV was captivated. Its unique shade set it apart from the usual stones he collected. Tavernier recounted his travels, describing the mines of Golconda and the perilous journey back to France. He spoke of the diamond's exceptional size and clarity, emphasizing its unique allure. Negotiations commenced. Tavernier, a shrewd merchant, knew the king's desire. Louis XIV, accustomed to getting his way, understood the value of such rare treasures. An agreement was reached. Tavernier received a king's ransom for his jewels, securing his fortune and solidifying his reputation as a premier gem merchant. The blue diamond now belonged to Louis XIV. It was destined to become part of the French crown jewels, a symbol of the king's power and the glory of France. The king commissioned the finest jewelers to recut the diamond. The original stone, though magnificent, could be even more dazzling with precise cuts and careful polishing. The recut diamond, now known as the French blue, was a marvel. Its brilliance was amplified, its color even more intense. Louis XIV was delighted. The French blue was incorporated into a magnificent piece of royal jewelry, joining other precious gems in a display of unparalleled opulence. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a woman of keen intellect and sharp intuition, regarded the diamond with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. In a time still shadowed by the plague, such concentrated wealth, such potent beauty, seemed to carry a weight, a burden of unspoken consequence. Some whispered that such magnificence could only invite misfortune. Jean Tavernier, back in France, knew he possessed something extraordinary. The blue diamond, unlike any he had seen before, warranted the attention of the king himself. He arranged an audience, presenting the stone with a mixture of pride and trepidation, hoping it would find favor in the eyes of Louis XIV. Louis XIV, ever the connoisseur of beauty and power, was immediately captivated by the diamond's unusual hue and size. He summoned Jean Pitou, his trusted royal jeweler, instructing him to transform the rough stone into a masterpiece that would reflect the glory of France. Jean Pitou, a master of his craft, understood the gravity of the task before him. The diamond was immense, and its recutting demanded precision and artistry beyond compare. He spent weeks studying the stone, meticulously planning each cut to maximize its brilliance and color. The first cut was the most crucial. With a deep breath and unwavering focus, Pitou brought the hammer down, the chisel slicing through the diamond with a sharp crack. The fate of the stone, and perhaps Pitou's reputation, hung in the balance. Days turned into weeks as Pitou tirelessly worked on the stone, grinding and polishing each facet to perfection. He coaxed the diamond to reveal its inner fire, the deep blue intensifying with every carefully executed cut. Finally, the French blue emerged, a triangular-shaped stone of unparalleled beauty. Its deep blue color was mesmerizing. Light danced within its depths, creating a breathtaking display of brilliance. It was a jewel fit for a king. Louis XIV was enthralled. The French blue exceeded all expectations. It was a symbol of his power, his wealth, and the glory of France. He commissioned it to be set in gold and incorporated into his ceremonial attire. The diamond became a fixture of Louis XIV's image. Adorning his cravat, it was a constant reminder of his absolute power and the magnificence of his reign. The court buzzed with admiration, each member vying for a closer look at the magnificent stone. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a shrewd observer of the court, watched the king's display with a hint of skepticism. She understood the intoxicating allure of power and wealth, but also recognized its potential for corruption and misfortune. The diamond, she suspected, would bring more than just admiration. News of the French blue spread throughout Paris, reaching even the ears of Jean Tavernier. He felt a surge of pride knowing that his discovery now adorned the king, yet a nagging sense of apprehension lingered. He couldn't shake the memory of the diamond's origins and the tales he had heard in the East. The French blue was now more than just a diamond. It was an emblem of France itself. Locked away with the other crown jewels, it waited, unaware of the stories and misfortunes that would soon be woven into its legacy. As the sun set over Versailles, casting long shadows across the palace, the French blue gleamed with an unsettling brilliance. The age of plagues may have passed, but a new era of intrigue, misfortune, and superstition was about to begin, all intertwined with the fate of the ill-fated diamond. Versailles, a monument to Louis XIV's ambition, pulsed with intrigue. Every whispered word, every fleeting glance held weight. The king, basking in the reflected glory of his court, was ever vigilant, ever calculating. Among the glittering throng, Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, Princess des Ursins, moved with the quiet grace of a predator. Her sharp mind missed nothing, and her influence was whispered about in hushed tones. She was a power broker, a manipulator of destinies. Jean Tavernier, though a man of the world, felt a tremor of apprehension as he awaited his audience with the king. The weight of the blue diamond and the expectations it carried pressed heavily upon him. The king, captivated by the diamond's unusual hue, held it up to the light. A hush fell over the court as the blue gem shimmered, reflecting the ambition and power that defined Louis XIV's reign. Marie-Anne, observing from the periphery, learned of the diamond's arrival. Her mind, ever attuned to opportunity, began to consider the possibilities and the potential dangers that such a gem represented. Whispers about the French blue began to circulate like a fever through the court. Some spoke of its beauty, others of its potential for great fortune. But beneath the admiration lay a current of unease, fueled by old superstitions. The king, determined to enhance the diamond's brilliance, commissioned the royal jewelers to recut the stone. A task fraught with risk, for a single miscalculation could shatter the priceless gem. Marie-Anne, subtly weaving her influence, ensured that her allies were positioned to benefit from the diamond's presence, and that her rivals faced carefully orchestrated setbacks. The recut diamond, now a symbol of Louis XIV's power and prestige, became a centerpiece of the French crown jewels. Its beauty was undeniable, but whispers of misfortune clung to it like a shadow. Rumors of illness and misfortune began to plague the court. A minor ailment here, a sudden accident there. Individually, they seemed insignificant, but collectively, they fueled the growing belief that the diamond brought ill luck. Marie-Anne, watching the unfolding events with a detached amusement, recognized the power of fear and superstition. The diamond, regardless of its true nature, had become a focal point for the court's anxieties. Jean Tavernier, preparing for another voyage, couldn't shake the unease that had settled over him. He had brought a treasure to France, but had he also unleashed something far more sinister? The sale of the French blue to Louis XIV did little to ease Tavernier's mind. While the transaction was lucrative, a lingering unease persisted. He found himself dwelling on the stone's unusual color and its journey from the depths of Golconda. At Versailles, the French blue became a symbol of Louis XIV's power and magnificence. Yet beneath the veneer of opulence, whispers of the past plagues lingered. The fear of disease remained a palpable presence, influencing the court's perception of events. A minor illness swept through the court, unsettling the carefully constructed sense of invincibility. A cough, a fever, was enough to trigger memories of past horrors, igniting anxieties that lay just beneath the surface. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a shrewd observer of courtly life, noted the rising tide of superstition. She understood how fear, fueled by past traumas, could easily be manipulated. The king himself, though typically unwavering in his confidence, found his sleep disturbed by vivid dreams of pestilence. The weight of the crown felt heavier than usual, and the future less certain. Sermons focused on repentance and divine judgment, subtly reinforcing the notion that misfortune was a punishment for sin. The collective guilt of a society that had witnessed unimaginable suffering was easily exploited. Whispers began to circulate, linking the king's minor ailments and the court's unease to the French blue. Some claimed the diamond carried a curse, a remnant of its origins in the East. Tavernier, though skeptical, couldn't entirely dismiss the rumors. Marie-Anne watched as the diamond became a focal point for anxieties. She understood that the stone itself held no power, but the fear it represented was a potent force. The king, though dismissing the curse as mere superstition, found himself increasingly drawn to the diamond. He wore it more frequently, almost as if to defy the rumors, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Among the servants, tales of sudden illness and misfortune spread like wildfire. A cook who pricked his finger on a thorn, a maid who tripped and broke a vase. Each incident was interpreted as a sign of the diamond's malevolent influence. Tavernier began to regret bringing the diamond to France. He felt a growing sense of responsibility for the unease it had unleashed, a shadow he hadn't anticipated when he unearthed the gem from the Golconda mines. The legend of Le Bleu Maudit, the cursed blue, had begun to take root, intertwining with the lingering anxieties of a society still haunted by the specter of plague. The diamond, a symbol of beauty and power, was slowly transforming into an emblem of fear and misfortune. Years after the sale of the French blue, Jean Tavernier found himself increasingly preoccupied. The diamond had brought him wealth, yet a persistent disquiet gnawed at him. He documented every transaction meticulously, as if trying to understand the gem's influence or perhaps absolve himself of some unnameable guilt. The court of Louis XIV was a stage for both grandeur and veiled misfortune. Though the king appeared the epitome of power, whispers circulated regarding setbacks in military campaigns and diplomatic endeavors. The diamond, brilliant in the king's possession, seemed a cold comfort against such earthly realities. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a shrewd observer of the court, noted the subtle shifts in fortune. She dismissed talk of curses as foolish, yet she could not deny the mounting anxieties amongst the courtiers. The diamond's presence seemed to magnify every setback, turning minor misfortunes into portents of doom. Seeking solace, Tavernier embarked on another journey, hoping to recapture the sense of purpose that had once driven him. But the seas were unforgiving. He saw this unlucky journey as an omen. The news from the battlefront grew bleaker. Defeats, once rare, became commonplace. Whispers of divine displeasure grew louder, subtly intertwining with the presence of the great blue diamond. Marie-Anne, ever pragmatic, dismissed the idea of a curse, attributing the misfortunes to poor strategy and political miscalculations. Yet she understood the power of perception. The more people believed in a curse, the more real its effects became. Far from France, Jean Tavernier succumbed to illness. His life, once filled with adventure and the pursuit of riches, ended quietly, marked by a lingering sense of unease and the shadow of the French blue. The king, surrounded by the trappings of power, found himself increasingly isolated. The diamond, once a symbol of his triumph, now seemed to radiate a cold, unsettling light. He started to wonder about the gem's true cost. The Princess des Ursins watched as the court succumbed to fear and rumor. While the French blue remained a beautiful object, its association with misfortune was becoming undeniable in the minds of many. Perception was becoming reality. The tale of Jean Tavernier, the man who brought the fateful gem from India, morphed with each retelling. His death, attributed to a curse by some, became a cautionary legend, forever linked to the French blue. The king continued his reign, the French blue a permanent fixture in the crown jewels. But the whispers persisted, a constant reminder that even the most powerful monarch could not escape the shadow of perceived misfortune. And so, the legend of the French blue grew, fueled by anxieties and the human need to find explanations for the unpredictable nature of fate. The diamond, a mere object of beauty, had become a mirror reflecting the deepest fears of a troubled age. The curse was not in the stone, but in the minds of those who beheld it. The mid-17th century was not so far removed from the horrors of the Black Death. The plague, though centuries past its peak, remained a chilling presence in the collective European memory. It was a ghost that haunted daily life, shaping perceptions and fueling anxieties. Every outbreak of disease, every unexplained death, rekindled the old fears. Superstition thrived in this fertile ground of uncertainty. Omens were sought in every shadow, curses whispered in every darkened alleyway. Tavernier, despite his worldly success, could not entirely escape the pervasive atmosphere of unease. The diamond, a symbol of immense wealth, also represented vulnerability. He knew what such a prize could attract. For Louis XIV, the diamond was a statement of absolute power, a defiance of mortality. Yet, even within the gilded cage of Versailles, whispers of death and disease could penetrate the thickest walls. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a keen observer of the court, understood the undercurrents of fear that ran beneath the surface of lavish display. She knew that true power lay not just in wealth, but in understanding the anxieties of others. The fear of contagion was ever present. A cough, a fever, a sudden illness could trigger panic and suspicion. Every misfortune was scrutinized for signs of divine wrath or malevolent influence. Accusations of witchcraft and sorcery became commonplace, scapegoats for the inexplicable tragedies that plagued society. Fear bred paranoia, and paranoia fueled injustice. Tavernier's disquiet grew. He felt a growing premonition that the diamond, for all its beauty and value, had brought something sinister into his life. Even the Sun King, secure in his palace, could not ignore the grim realities of the outside world. The threat of disease cast a pall over even the most extravagant celebrations. Marie-Anne, ever the pragmatist, recognized the growing danger of the rumors surrounding the diamond. She understood that perception, not reality, often dictated events in the court. The diamond, innocent of any malevolence, became a focal point for the collective anxieties of the age. It was a symbol of wealth, power, and ultimately, vulnerability in a world haunted by the specter of death. The legacy of the Black Death continued to shape the European mindset. The French blue, a silent witness to these tumultuous times, would forever be entwined with the anxieties and superstitions of a world struggling to escape the shadow of the past. The seeds of the cursed diamond narrative were not sown overnight. They germinated in the fertile ground of fear and uncertainty, a landscape well-trodden in the wake of the Black Death. In a world where science offered limited explanations, people sought answers in the realm of the supernatural. When inexplicable tragedies struck, the human mind, desperate for meaning, often attributed misfortune to tangible objects. A lost fortune, a sudden illness, a tragic death, all could be conveniently blamed on a cursed artifact. Stories of cursed objects circulated widely. Amulets, jewels, Even paintings were whispered to bring misfortune upon their owners. These tales, often embellished with each retelling, reinforced the belief that certain objects held malevolent power. The court of Louis XIV, despite its grandeur and supposed sophistication, was not immune to such superstitions. Whispers of ill omens and curses were common, fueled by anxieties surrounding the king's health, the stability of the monarchy, and the ever-present threat of disease. Jean Tavernier, having traveled extensively, was well aware of these beliefs. He'd heard countless stories of cursed gems and ill-fated artifacts during his journeys, tales often intertwined with local folklore and superstition. The king, though seemingly impervious to such superstitions, was nonetheless aware of the anxieties surrounding him. The French blue, now a symbol of his power, also carried a subtle weight, a reminder of the fragility of life and the capriciousness of fate. Rumors began to circulate within the court, linking the diamond to minor misfortunes befalling those associated with the king. A riding accident, a sudden illness, each incident was subtly attributed to the gem's influence. The ever-present threat of disease exacerbated these fears. A simple fever could be interpreted as a sign of divine displeasure, or worse, the work of a malevolent curse attached to a seemingly innocuous object. Marie-Anne de la Trémouille, a keen observer of human nature, recognized the power of suggestion and the human need to find patterns, even where none existed. She understood that fear, once ignited, could spread like wildfire. Tavernier, now nearing the end of his life, couldn't help but wonder if he had unwittingly unleashed something he couldn't comprehend. The diamond, once a symbol of his success, now seemed to carry a shadow of unease. The printing press played a crucial role in amplifying these beliefs. Cheap pamphlets and broadsides, filled with sensational stories of curses and ill omens, fueled the public's imagination and solidified the link between misfortune and certain objects. And so, the stage was set. In a world still haunted by the specter of disease and driven by a need to understand the inexplicable, the legend of the cursed blue diamond began to take root, its shadow stretching across the opulent landscape of the French court. Centuries have passed since Jean Tavernier first laid eyes on the rough blue diamond in the mines of Golconda. Now, encased in glass, it rests as a centerpiece, a testament to its journey and the enduring enigma it represents. The story began not with curses and misfortune, but with trade and exploration. Tavernier, driven by ambition and an eye for beauty, sought treasures across continents, unaware of the narratives that would later entwine with his finds. The French blue found its way into the hands of kings, a symbol of power and majesty. Louis XIV, at the zenith of his reign, embraced the diamond, adding it to his already impressive collection, little knowing of the legends that would follow. For a time, the diamond simply existed as an object of immense value, a part of the royal treasury. Its beauty was celebrated, its worth quantified, and its history seemingly straightforward. But the whispers started subtly, fueled by tragedies, coincidences, and the human need to find explanations for the inexplicable. The diamond became more than just a gem. It transformed into a harbinger of doom in the popular imagination. The documented facts paint a picture of ownership, transactions, and aesthetic appreciation. Yet, these are often overshadowed by the more compelling narrative of the curse. The contrast is stark, verifiable history versus sensationalized legend, one rooted in facts, the other blooming from fear and speculation. The allure of the curse persists. Even today, visitors approach the diamond with a sense of caution, as if expecting some unseen force to emanate from its depths. Popular culture has played a significant role in perpetuating the myth. Movies, books, and television shows have embellished the story, adding layers of intrigue and superstition. The true story of the diamond is a complex tapestry, woven from historical events, societal anxieties, and the enduring human fascination with the unknown. Examining the documented history alongside the alleged curse reveals a striking disparity. Correlation is not causation, yet the narrative of misfortune continues to overshadow the facts. And so the diamond endures, a captivating enigma, a symbol of wealth, power, and perhaps a mirror reflecting humanity's enduring fascination with the power of belief, fear, and the enduring allure of a good story. Centuries after Jean Tavernier first unearthed it, the diamond, now known as the Hope Diamond, remains. It sits encased, a silent testament to its long and turbulent journey. The echoes of the past still cling to the gem. The anxieties, the fears, and the hopes that surrounded its existence in the 17th century have become a part of its very essence. The diamond, once a symbol of royal power and prestige, now serves as a reminder of the ephemeral nature of earthly glory. The kings and queens, courtiers and merchants who coveted its beauty are now merely names in history books. The legend of Le Bleu Maudit persists, fueled by whispers of misfortune and tragedy. It's a narrative woven from superstition, fear, and the human tendency to seek patterns in chaos. Even in the modern age, the diamond evokes a sense of mystery. People are drawn to its beauty, but also to the tales of its supposed curse. The curse, whether real or imagined, serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of fate. It is a story that speaks to our deepest anxieties about wealth, power, and mortality. The fear of disease, so prevalent in the 17th century, seeped into every aspect of life, shaping beliefs and influencing perceptions. The diamond became a vessel for these anxieties, a tangible representation of the unknown dangers that lurked in the shadows. Tavernier sought fortune, but he inadvertently unleashed a narrative that would transcend time. He could not have known the weight that the stone he carried would eventually bear. The recutting, intended to enhance its beauty, also altered its destiny. Each facet, each angle, seemed to amplify the stories and the legends that clung to it. The diamond story is inextricably linked to the social and political climate of the time. It reflects the vast disparities of wealth, the constant threat of disease, and the ever-present fear of the unknown. The legend endures because it taps into a fundamental human need to understand the forces that shape our lives. We seek meaning, even in the face of tragedy and uncertainty. Le Bleu Maudit, the cursed blue, a legacy of fear, fascination, and the enduring power of a story to shape our perception of reality. The diamond remains, a silent witness to the human drama that continues to unfold around it, its tale resonating through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of superstition and the human need to find meaning in a world often devoid of it.